Hey guys, Josh here, and this is my review of Hokko Life, a life simulation game that takes a lot of inspiration from Animal Crossing, but also allows you to make your own creations from scratch and share them with the community. This game has been in early access on Steam for over a year now, and it just fully released on September 27th for Steam and consoles, and I will be reviewing the Steam version more specifically as this is the one that I played. Unfortunately, when I tried this game last year, I encountered a lot of bugs, game-breaking bugs, that required me to start my save file over and over again. It also froze and crashed a lot, many things were not working well, I had a hard time. But I like the main ideas of the game, there's been enough time for the developer to fix some of the issues that I had, so I decided to give it a second chance and I wanted to review my experience and share my thoughts on it so far. I played through the first season during the last week, I played enough to know what I like or dislike about this game and hopefully it will help you decide if it's for you or not. Let's start with the character creation. There is a wide variety of hairstyles to choose from. Then you'll get to pick either preset colors or RGB values for your skin, eyes, and hair. You can also add freckles or some blush on your cheeks. Overall, the character creation tool is simple, it doesn't get into too many details, but it lets you create your character in a few minutes, and it's robust enough to at least make your character look unique. After creating your character, you will ride a train to a small town called Hokko and meet some of the villagers at the inn, where they will tell you the town isn't doing so well anymore. They will offer you a place to stay upstairs and you will decide to help them in revitalizing the town. The player character might look very cute, but the same thing can't be said for the animal villagers. They just look a bit creepy. I think that some of them have interesting designs, like this pig with the watermelon helmet. I think this had the potential to be a cute character, but their body proportions and lifeless animations make them look a bit uncanny. The main goal as you play will be to talk to these villagers that appear at the inn and then gather materials and money to build a house for them. But unfortunately, it's not very enticing since the villagers just don't look very cute or interesting. The interactions you will have with these villagers are also not helping. They more or less all have the same personality, the dialogues are generic, and some of the game mechanics linked to the villagers feel a bit useless. For example, there is a tree of unlockable items and skills in this game that you will unlock by doing different tasks, and one of these things you will unlock is the camera, and one of the requirements to get it is to wave at villagers 20 times. So I pressed the wave button in front of a villager 20 times in a row, which unlocked the camera, but first, the game didn't tell me where to find the camera or how to use it, so even though I unlocked it, I couldn't do anything. And second, there's nothing else in the list of unlockables that require waving, so it doesn't seem like that feature has any other use in the game, which makes me wonder why it's there. You would think that waving would help increasing your relationship with the villagers, but I don't think there's any kind of relationship system, and if there is, the game doesn't tell you about it. So they worked on implementing a waving feature that doesn't really serve any purpose, and another thing you can do with villagers is ask them to follow you around. Their walking animation is a bit creepy, but also they're walking extremely slow and are just unable to keep up with the player's walking speed. So this is also something that at first you think would maybe increase your relationship or that maybe the villagers would help you gather resources. But no, they just walk like zombies behind you and nothing else happens. So that's another feature that I'm not too sure why it's there. And as you will see, this is how I feel with most of this game. It has a lot of different features and mechanics, but most of them don't feel fully fleshed out or seem to add anything to the gameplay experience, except for making things feel bloated. One thing that villagers are useful for, however, is requests. They will give you different tasks, mostly you will have to gather specific items for them, and in exchange you will get some rewards like pieces of clothing or money. There is a backpack upgrade that unlocks after completing 5 villager requests. I was trying to get that as quickly as possible because my inventory filled up so fast, and it does take some time before you get the first crafting recipe for storage. For the first few weeks I had to drop something on the ground every time I wanted to pick up something else. It was very annoying until one of the villagers asked me to repair a bookshelf for them and place it in their house, and then I could finally start putting some of my stuff in their bookshelf. That's right, I had to go to their house for storage because all that quest did was teach me how to modify items, so I was able to repair the bookshelf, but I still did not know how to make a bookshelf from scratch for myself. A bit later I was asked to craft a cupboard for someone, and after that I finally got the first recipe to make my own, but it just took way too long in my opinion. I think this should be one of the very first things you learn how to craft so you don't struggle with your inventory all the time. Instead, the first thing we learn how to craft in this game is a bridge, and that made me feel like the way things are organized in the tutorial is a bit out of order. More frustrating, however, is that even after repairing the bookshelf, it didn't count towards my 5 villager requests, because that quest was part of the tutorial and not a proper villager request. For the first few hours in game, most of the requests you will get from villagers will be counting as part of the tutorial, and that means that it will take way longer than it should to complete the 5 requests needed to get the backpack upgrade. But eventually I did get my bag upgrade, and also I did learn how to make a cupboard, and from that point, gathering resources became a bit less tedious. It just took way too long to get there. Gathering resources is a big part of this game, as you will need them for crafting. So you have tools like an axe to cut wood, a pickaxe for stone, a shovel to dig up plants, as well as a net to catch bugs and a fishing rod for fish. Chopping trees and breaking rocks is pretty straightforward. You just take out your tools and hold the action button. This game doesn't have any kind of stamina system, so you don't have to think about your character passing out, needing to eat food or go to bed, and it makes for a very calm and worry-free experience. I like stamina systems, but I think there is also a place for more simple mechanics, so I do appreciate that. Time also goes pretty slowly in Hokko Life, which contributes to the stress-free experience. That is good, however, I did find a bit annoying how I had to open my inventory every single time I wanted to switch between my different tools. For example, after cutting a tree with an axe, you will then need a shovel to remove the stump, and if you want to plant another tree afterwards, you'll have to use your shovel again to dig a hole. Then you'll have to open your inventory and select the seed to plant it. And if you cut and plant a lot of trees, that is a lot of tool switching. It is very tedious, and in 2022, most games in this genre have some sort of toolbar or ways to change quickly between tools, and I think this could have been done better. Another thing you can do in this game is catch bugs, or maybe I should say catch butterflies, because as far as I know, there are only butterflies. It works well for the most part. You just press a button, and if you're facing the butterfly, it will catch it and add it to your encyclopedia, and then you can sell the butterfly at the shop to make some money. But it's not exciting, it's not that interesting. In comparison, in Animal Crossing, catching bugs is fun because you will find bugs in different places, some on the grass, some on the beach, some on tree stumps, others will come out only if you dig the ground or if you shake a tree. Some will be there when it rains, or at night, or in the morning. They all hide in different places and have their own behavior. If you approach them too fast, they will run or fly away, or they'll even attack you in the case of the tarantula and scorpion. In Hokko Life, they're all butterflies of different size and color that just fly around aimlessly, and they might fly away a bit from you when you try to catch them, but they all feel the same and it doesn't feel rewarding at all. I think they do change depending on the season and time of day, but the game doesn't really tell you that even when you look at your encyclopedia. Each area will have different butterflies. For example, you won't catch the same butterflies in town as you would in the beach area, but they don't feel any different. As I said, it's just different sizes and colors, and they also don't feel like they're part of the environment because they don't interact with anything, compared to a game like Animal Crossing, which Hokko Life definitely takes a lot of inspiration from. I feel bad for comparing this game side by side with Animal Crossing. They're not the same price, they obviously don't have the same budget, but it borrows a lot from that series, so comparison is unavoidable. There is also fishing, but after about 8 hours of playing this game, I have not unlocked it yet. When I first played the early access over a year ago, the fishing rod was given to me by an NPC on the beach very quickly, but it seems like a few things changed and now I have no idea how to get it. And this brings me back to the tree of unlockables, where there is a branch for mining, and I've almost completed every task required for it, which would let me unlock things like a better pickaxe, but unfortunately, everything has to be unlocked in the correct order, and one of the very first tasks in that branch is to fish up 10 treasures. But the game still hasn't taught me how to fish yet, so similarly to the storage issue I had previously, I think this once again shows how the progression is a bit flawed. I shouldn't have this whole branch almost done while still trying to figure out how to get a fishing rod, which should be a very simple thing. So I can't really comment on the fishing itself for now, but as it seems to be one of the game's main activities, along with bug catching, I hope it was introduced a bit earlier. There is also mining, and this is one part that I liked a little bit. It is pretty simple. You just use your pickaxe to break rocks, and as I said previously, there is no stamina and there's also no monsters, So mining is very relaxing. In order to progress deeper into the mines, you will have to craft and place lamps, as your character will stop moving when you approach an area that is too dark. At first I thought this was a good idea, but I quickly found it annoying because if there's still just a tiny bit of darkness between two lamps, your character will struggle to move for a bit and you will get a pop-up saying it's too dark, even though there are lamps really not that far away from you. I appreciate that they tried something different, but I think I still prefer when games just require you to put lamps simply because it's dark and you as a player, you want to see and you want to make sure you don't miss anything important in the mines. It's a mechanic that has been proven to work in many games, and I'm not sure that this change here in Hokko Life is adding anything. It just makes the game more restrictive and removes some of that relaxing aspect. But one thing this did made me realize is that you can place furniture pretty much anywhere, so you can place them in the mines, in the forest, in town, or on the beach. If you want, you can really put furniture everywhere and decorate everything. And this brings me to what I think is the biggest appeal of Hokko Life. In my opinion, the furniture crafting. I don't know if some of you are familiar with My Sims, not The Sims, but My Sims. This was a game that allowed you to build furniture from scratch by using various pieces of different shapes and sizes, and you could literally create anything you could think of. Over 15 years later, I was very excited to see something similar coming back and looking forward to creating cool furniture in Hokko Life. When I played during the beginning of the early access, it felt clunky and the game crashed a lot, so I could not experience the system fully. Now, luckily, the crashes are gone, but it's still a bit clunky. First, I had some issues with the tutorial where things did not feel very responsive. For example, at one point it asked me to press D to duplicate a piece, so I did that multiple times and the tutorial window wouldn't disappear, and no matter how many times I duplicated it, both by pressing D or the duplicate button, the tutorial just wouldn't register it. I don't know if I was doing something wrong, but if I did, the game didn't tell me. However, after finishing all of the painful tutorials and figuring things out on my own, I think the building tool is not too bad. There is an option to snap pieces to the grid, which I strongly recommend turning on. I believe this is also something the game doesn't really tell you, and the first time I tried building a table, I couldn't line anything up properly. It looked horrible and kind of turned me off from building anything ever again. But then I figured out you could snap things to the grid, and if this had been turned on by default, my experience might have been a bit more pleasant. Once it snaps, it's a pretty good tool actually, but still requires some patience. Fortunately, some people are a lot better than I at creating furniture, which I found out after unlocking the city center. Once you're done with all of the tutorial quests, the train station will open up and let you go to the city, where you will be able to download furniture from other creators. Every once in a while, there will be a creator challenge with a specific theme, during which every player will be able to submit their own creations and vote for the best ones. Winners will then be showcased in the city and everyone will be able to download their creations for free and use them to decorate their town. I think this is a really great idea. It creates a community around the game, lets you get inspiration from others, see what they're doing, and of course, it gives you access to beautiful pieces to decorate with. Each player can also set up their own shop and put their favorite creations up for download. Unfortunately, except for the challenge winners that are featured and easy to find, for all other creator shops, you will have to enter their creator code in order to find them. And the game offers no way to browse random shops. I think this is a missed opportunity, as it would be fun to just spend time visiting tons of different shops in order to find the perfect furniture for your town. But you can't really do that in game. You will have to check out the Steam community group or other websites to find creator codes. There's a ton of really talented people out there. It's just a shame that you have to go out of your way to find them. But if you are ready to do that, to search for these creators, or if you want to spend the time to create your own things and share them online with others, I think there could be a lot of fun to be had with that and an amazing community to connect with. However, if you're not that into dedicating time to search for creators or to make things yourself, you might miss out on what I think is the most interesting aspect of this game. Also, one thing I found odd is how all of the items made by other creators are completely free to download. They don't cost any in-game currency or materials, but if you want to make your own furniture or buy some of the default furniture from the shop that's in town, these will cost you something. So why would I spend time chopping wood and making planks to make a bed by myself or buy a bed from the shop in town if I can just download a beautiful, gorgeous bed that another player created? Once again, it seems like this feature was not fully thought out. I think the economy could have been interesting if players paid each other to download their furniture. This could be a fun way to make money, or if we're going to make them free, at least make creating your own furniture free as well. I find the inconsistencies here a bit annoying, and it's a shame because I love this idea of a marketplace filled with everybody's creations, and it's just not very well executed. I've seen screenshots and videos of people who created a lot of beautiful towns in this game, and whenever I stumble upon those, I just want to get back into the game, but I don't want to spend hours looking for creator codes online or struggle to make my own furniture from scratch. But if you do have the patience for all of that, this could be a game for you. I should also take some time to say that many things changed since the early access, and most of it is for the better. I have not encountered many bugs, except like I said, the tutorial pop-ups that wouldn't close, but most importantly, the game didn't crash or freeze at any point. Performance-wise, it was great, however, there were a few annoying things still, oversight or little issues that do add up and ruin the experience a bit. For example, when you're navigating the menu and press slightly outside one of the tabs, it will close the menu. So I would often open my bag, try to click on the journal to see my quest, but click just a few pixels away and it would just close the menu and I would have to open it again. And I did find myself having to look at the quest journal way more than I would like to, because contrary to what many other games in the genre do, Hokko Life does not let you track your progress on the HUD, so you will have to open the quest journal every single time to see the next thing you have to do, and quests are not always clear, and sometimes have a very rigid structure requiring you to do things in a specific order. For example, if a villager wants you to craft something for their house, you will need to craft it first, then talk to them, then place the item in their house, then talk to them one last time, and with some quests, the next step is not always obvious. It's just one example, but I found myself always having to look up at my journal to see if I was doing something wrong, and it got tedious very fast. I also had a few issues with the camera, especially in the meadows where the first houses are. The way the camera is angled, I often had houses or trees blocking the view, and even though they do get transparent to let you see through, they really felt like they were in the way. I could not figure out how to move existing buildings, if that's even possible. Maybe that's something we unlock later, a bit too late, but that could have been an easy fix for this issue. So any new tree or house that I placed, I did make sure that it would not obstruct my view. But at least where I am with the game right now, I am stuck with a very messy looking residential area and an annoying camera. When you talk with villagers, the camera can also mess up a bit, and during one of my very first interaction with the villagers, while I was talking with them, they started just moving around and talking with a different villager instead of looking at me, which really broke the immersion. But besides these little annoyances, the game runs well and also it looks good graphically. Between the town, the city, the meadows, the forest, and the beach, each area looks completely different and has its own atmosphere. Everything looks colorful and cozy and fits with what the game is trying to achieve. I also liked how the game sounds. It has very relaxing background music, it never gets too intrusive or repetitive, and it matches the cozy atmosphere of the game. But unfortunately for me, these things did not make up for everything else. In conclusion, I am disappointed. I really wanted to love Hokko Life. It is a game that looks cute, with great ideas, but none of these ideas feel fully fleshed out, and I think it would have benefited from a bit more time in early access. It definitely got a lot better since I played last year, but it still does not feel complete and does not stand out from the plethora of other life sim and crafting games already available out there. It tries to be a really cozy and relaxing experience, but all the little issues I faced made it hard for me to keep playing and really enjoying my time with this game. I forced myself to get to 8 hours, and this is coming from someone who puts hundreds of hours into most life sim and farming games, and I find it hard to justify playing this game over another one. If you really are passionate about the idea of creating furniture from scratch and putting hours and hours into it, or you really want to look up some nice creators and download their furniture to decorate your town, then I think there is fun to be had with this game. There's obviously already tons of talented creators playing and enjoying every minute of it. Just push through the first few hours, and once you get to that part, you will enjoy it. But if you're looking for a game that offers more than that, like interesting interactions with the villagers, fun bug-catching mechanics, or an addictive gameplay loop with a good progression, Hokko Life does not really deliver, unfortunately. I think that things can still change, so I will be keeping an eye on this game in the future, and I am curious to know what are your thoughts on Hokko Life if you've played it. Do you agree or do you disagree with my review? I feel like this review was a bit harsh, but this is just my honest personal experience from playing this game. I truly hope some of you will have a good time with it. Feel free to check out other reviews. Maybe this game has amazing qualities I did not notice. Maybe a ton of other people really enjoy it. But that's gonna be pretty much it for me today, guys. Leave a like and subscribe for more content like this, and I'll see you all in the next video.